Hello.
Hello.
This is another production of Boss of Houston Network. Welcome to our show, Race to Wealth. I'm your host, Vanessa Harrison.
And I'm your host, Delphine Thomas.
We're so excited that you are joining us today. For our new listeners and viewers, we want to tell a little bit about the intentions of our show. So the intentions of our show is to bring awareness to financial literacy so that no matter what comes up in your financial life, that you're better able to handle it, being able to have heard the information before. So we do have a real life situation for the story of the day today.
We do.
So the story of the day today comes from one of our business partners. First, I'd like to say the name of this episode is The Benefits of Partnership.
Exactly.
So the story of the day is about one of our business partners, and she came across something that was truly devastating in her life. She was diagnosed with cancer, and upon being diagnosed with cancer, she had to start making some tough decisions about her life, and she was really trying to figure things out. And in trying to figure things out, she wanted to know like what was going to happen with her children. She wanted to plan for that.
Yeah.
What was going to happen in her finances? What would happen to everybody if something were to happen to her? And as that was going on, she started like researching and seeing like what options do I have? What options do they have? And she started applying for different life insurances and things like that.
Exactly.
And found out that she was getting denied.
Yeah.
You know, she was getting denied because she had a pre-existing condition and, you know, having cancer. And then she was researching, okay, well, what do I have already?
Exactly.
You know, what do I have?
Yeah.
And she found out that she did have life insurance.
Yes.
But horrifically enough, this life insurance was from her employer. And with that, the employers would have been the beneficiaries, and her family would not have been able to benefit from the life insurance policy.
Exactly.
So she was horrified, and so one of the things that our organization I'm so proud of is breaking ground on is that we allow our agents to qualify for life insurance policy with no medical exam and, you know, with no medical exam.
Yes.
You know, a six-figure one.
Exactly. Did you know that a lot of companies do not let their employees know that they take out life insurance on them? Yes.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to a lot of people, I did not know once long time ago that they take out life insurance on you. And you don't know anything about it. But eventually you will get something in writing, or either you may get an email asking for your permission.
Right, and it's a really tricky kind of subject because it seems like something that a lot of people wouldn't know about.
Exactly.
Like, how would you, just to think about it, how would you even know? The whole, you know, concept comes from, I was reading this article about what they used to call this, and it used to be called dead peasant insurance. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, dead peasant insurance, and that is it's a throwback to Russia because then when people were working, they considered the people as like property.
Yeah.
That they insured, and if something happened to them, and then they would have some kind of benefit from them working for them.
Yeah.
You know, now they've made it more cute. You know, so now they call it company owned life insurance.
Yes.
So it's COLI, COLI, company owned life insurance. So they made it cute, you know.
Right.
But what an idea.
What an idea, right? That's
Yeah.
very disappointing.
Yeah.
That's very disappointing and disturbing and heart wrenching. You know, to know that that's how they treated people as property.
Yeah, that's how they do. But you know, it's crazy. And then because so many people probably aren't aware of this, you know, how would people even know if they were if they had this life insurance policy taken out on them? Because wouldn't you want to know if there's a life insurance policy on you, that it was well regulated and all that? But so how, I know you were looking at how did the people even know if there's a life insurance
And you know,
policy?
like I said before, a lot of times the employers will either send you a letter, send you an email,
Yeah.
or either just one or the other. You will be informed in some kind of a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know that's another thing about financial literacy and
Right.
why it's so important, because
Yeah.
you know sometimes we get these things that come across our desk that talk about accrued benefits or sole beneficiary, partial beneficiary, and because we're not used to seeing that language all the time, anything could happen. We could sign it, you know, and mail it back in thinking that we are benefiting from that information. We could just leave it there and just leave money on the table and
Exactly.
see. And the thing about leaving money on the table is that sometimes we just don't know.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
you're talking
it's
about
like-
you're talking about that financial language.
Yeah,
That's
financial
what I
language.
love about our company, because the more that you get involved
Yeah.
or and learn about financial literacy,
Yeah.
which is having to do with your credit repair and other products and services that we will be talking about, you will become your ear and you'll become more educated about
More open to it.
about
Yeah.
the financial language.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, I'm a mother, so I have to speak from a mother's point of view.
Exactly.
That it's like when you have a small kid and you are talking to them, but you spell out a word, you know, because you don't want them to know what
Right,
it is, you know.
right.
Then when they get a little bit older, maybe you
Right.
write something in cursive,
Right.
because you know they're not at that stage, and or maybe cuando empiezas a hablar en un idioma diferente porque
I love
sabes
it.
que ellos no
Perfect.
entienden. You know they're not going to understand, so you can speak like that. And it's the
Exactly.
same way with
Financial
finances,
language.
You know,
I mean, it's such a big thing.
it's a big thing, and
It
we've
is.
got to get in on
You
it.
gotta
We've got to
get
know the
on it.
language of our finances.
Exactly.
You know, it's so important.
It's just like you said, it's just so important. I myself, once I got started and involved in the corporation that I'm involved with, our company, the financial language, I had to, like you said, get an ear for it because
Yeah.
I didn't know certain terminologies. But after I got to know it, it makes you more powerful. It makes you become more educated about, the products and services. Again, you
Yeah.
know, credit repair, budgeting, restoration, all of these things you need,
Yeah.
for your future and for your family's future.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things, so many ways that I've benefited just getting around the language of financial literacy. I
Exactly.
mean, if I just listen, do y'all have time? Because I might have been a bit of a wreck before. But it's so useful knowing that language and seeing that language all the time. Just like for our business partner, who didn't know that she had life insurance, but it wasn't going to benefit her. You know,
Exactly.
It's really heartbreaking in a way. So, like we were saying, the intention of the show is to put the financial language out there because
Yes.
you want to know who are the beneficiaries of your estates. You want to know
Exactly.
that you have a plan in place that is growing you for right now.
Exactly.
You know, and in the future, for you, for your family, for whoever is around you. You want yourself to benefit, but then also everybody around you.
And also, if you have property, you have debt, your debts, your assets, and your property. You want to make sure that that's going to the right, proper person, or a person that you love, that you know that's going to take care of your affairs.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is one of the things that with her will and trust she was able to do, was to set up some of the guardianship for her children.
Exactly.
And she was able to appoint people in the right places,
Exactly.
Knowing that your kids are going to go to exactly where they should. They're not going to
Exactly.
be, wards of the state, or
Exactly.
they're not, that's something that you think about.
Yeah.
You want your kids and your family to be well taken care of. And so when she qualified for the 6-figure life insurance policy,
Six-figure.
now that's a benefit of being a partner, because not only did she qualify for this 6-figure life insurance policy, but it was at no additional cost. So even at the price of just credit restoration, she had all these other things that a lot of times people don't have in place. And she was able to put those things in place and structure her finances in such a way that it was going to benefit her and it was going to benefit her family.
Futures.
So I absolutely
future.
love
Right,
that.
right.
So we definitely want to talk some more on this. We're so excited that you guys have joined us for this show, Benefits of Partnership. And we are going to take a short commercial break. And we'll be
right back.
Oh my God! I just got through watching a great show on Boss Up Houston Network. Have you heard? They're bossing up, okay? And I heard they're looking for you. Any podcasters, talk show hosts, if you're a writer or producer, we definitely need you. Come aboard and boss up.
Are you a small business owner that is struggling to promote your company?
Our topic today is what's your status?
Shoot the dice at this point.
You just shoot the dice. Roll the dice.
So,
Yes.
Hey, how y'all doing? It's attorneys. Victoria Blanco.
I love it.
Imagine being televised on a national platform. How about being a host or sponsor on a syndicated podcast? Or being featured on exclusive promotions and interview for your product to your ideal customer? Hi, I'm Kayla Sneed, and I'm head of sales with Boss Up Houston. And here at Boss Up, we like to help small business owners and entrepreneurs advertise, promote, or become a sponsor for one of our television, podcast, or radio shows. All you have to do is click the link down below to see if you qualify. I'll be seeing you soon.
This is Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up, and boss up.
Hello, you guys.
Hello.
And welcome back. You know, before the break, we were discussing about how one of our business partners was able to benefit from getting her finances in order in the face of a fight with cancer.
Yes.
Thank God she is doing well now. And but yeah, it was a really big deal for her to go through that. Now, we did want to touch on the will and trust.
Yes.
Because just think about it in our communities. You know, sometimes we hear these words like will and trust. I know on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I would always hear them talking about trust funds.
Right,
You know, they were a trust fund kid.
Right.
But do we really know what that means? Like, what is it?
Exactly. So let me tell you what that is, right? So going forward, the will the will and trust. So what we wanted to talk about was the will. So your will is giving people permission. First of all, we wanted to say that there were professionals that did not have a will.
Oh, yeah.
And we wanted to say some of the people you probably have heard about even on TV.
Yeah.
Aretha Franklin was one of them.
Yeah. Tupac.
Tupac was one of them.
Prince.
Prince was one of them. Billie Holiday was one of them.
Yeah. Marvin Gaye.
Yes.
Didn't have
Just
one.
so
You know,
many
those
people.
situations were huge because with them having the finances that they had,
Yes.
and, you know, they had, you know, the residual income coming in that they did because
Yes.
they were entrepreneurs.
That was devastating.
They, it caused a lot of energy to go out to their families because then they had to go into probate and they had to go into the court system and go through
fight
all of this
for it.
different litigation so that they could take care of the estate so those things can continue to run, for one
Exactly.
thing.
Really?
But then they had all of these people coming out of the woodworks to say,
You
I'm
owe
the
me.
cousin.
Yep.
That was my daddy.
Right.
You know, and then they had to go through a lot of them had to go through paternity testing and things like that, and that causes emotional strain on the families. That causes a lot.
And
of
on
strain.
that note, right, so let me fill you in. So a will is a legal document that sets forth your wishes regarding the distribution of property and the care of minor children.
Yeah.
Without a will, those wishes may not be carried out, and that's hurtful.
Right.
That's devastating. You know.
Right.
So this is a note to all of us that are listening to this. if you care about your family, you need to get a will done. You really do.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, a lot of families or even a lot of people, we don't want to talk about it. But things will happen in life. And if you don't have a will written up on what you want your loved ones to do, it will definitely be devastating. What your wishes are. Just for instance, this is personal, but I'll share it. I'm married, and I told my husband, if anything were to happen to me, I don't want to be, I said, give me a week. And I know that may sound hard or ugly to people, but you can give me about a week. If I'm a vegetable, I don't want to be there any longer. Just having my body, just being in a hospital, or him having to take care of me. I don't want to put that on him. Or my sisters. If they love me as much as he do, I don't want them to fight. Well, leave her on a ventilation.
Yeah.
Or leave her in the hospital, give her another month. If my wishes are written, they're written. And this is what I want. So on that note, will is definitely important.
It is vital because it also takes strain off of the family.
Yeah, yes.
Because a lot of times we've seen it go a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
If someone is in the hospital or, they have to make decisions on what their care is going to be like. And some people already have it set in their mind what they want to happen. But if at any time they're incapacitated, like they're not able to make decisions, then that decision-making responsibility, that burden goes onto the family.
That's right.
And then, they're left, thinking, am I making the right choice?
Yeah.
Would they have wanted this when, we could write those things down and then take some of the guilt off of them. We want them to enjoy themselves, and not have that burden on them,
Exactly.
And then about the will, you get to write out what happens with you, but then also when it comes to a trust.
Mm-hmm.
So a trust is an even more active document when you are still here.
They're still here. Still here, y'all.
So the trust allows for you to appoint someone the responsibilities for their benefit so that they can handle affairs so even while you're here. So if someone is if you, the trustor, allow the trustee to make decisions on your behalf, then that means that they have access to certain things.
Exactly.
And you can line out exactly how you want things to be taken care of.
Yes.
So, for example, if you have a business and you have a business that is high functioning and every month you pay a certain insurance, maybe you pay each employee at this rate and at this salary, you pay out this much in travel expenses, you pay out this much. You can line those things out, and whoever is the trustee of that, they can continue on your business the way that you would have it to be run, And so then the people who are your employees, they can continue to function, they can continue to work to take care of their families because you've thought enough about them to take care of their families as well, because as we all know, it doesn't just stop with us.
Exactly.
So we have a responsibility to take care of ourselves, and that's just what we do naturally.
Yes.
But we also have a responsibility once we have grown to also ensure that the people around us are
taken care of,
especially those who are depending on us.
Yes.
If they're depending on us, we don't want them to just be thrown out to the wolves.
And that's just like when we were talking about the will, even though we're getting ready to get into the trust, but it's the same thing with the will.
Yeah.
If they the movie stars or the actors that lost their lives and did not have a will, they had people on staff as well.
Yeah, they
so
did.
Immediately those people were out of jobs.
What happened?
And so that's more emotional devastation because
yeah, it does.
didn't put things in writing. So
but there's a responsibility. We just have to realize the importance of taking care of ourselves, taking care of others,
Yes.
And not only that, while we're taking care of these things for the end time, taking things for us right now, we want to switch gears a little bit.
Yes.
And talk a little bit more about the importance of the the multiple streams of income.
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
because
Yes.
one of the ways to even get in a position, well, everyone who is alive and breathing needs to have a will and trust in place. And some people I've heard them talk about how, well, I don't have anything that I can will to someone else, but we really do. If you have enough to take care of yourself, there are plenty of things that you can will over to other people that you might not
Exactly.
even consider to be significant.
Exactly.
But they are.
Yes.
You
they
know,
are.
before we move on, I do want to say there was something that I saw on social media the other day. You know, sometimes social media wins because they have all the points. But the trust reminded me of this, and they on the post it was talking about a significant other. You know, and we all should have significant others. And if you look at the word significant, it spells out sign if I can't. So having
That's
a
awesome.
having
That's
a
what's up.
Yeah, that's what's up. So having a trust set up allows you to have a significant other, someone who can sign if you can't.
If you can.
Yeah, a
Yes.
significant other. I
Yes.
really like that.
That's
significant
awesome.
other.
Yes, it is. So, she was just talking about multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
So if you just have a job, that's fine too. But just like all of the devastation that we just went through with COVID and everything, we also have in our business, as business partners, we have the opportunity for you to become a business partner with us and have another stream of income at home.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. That's what's up. You know, that's what's up.
So, yeah.
Home-based business. So if anything happens again, you already have something in place to take care of you and your family.
Yeah.
And it goes further than that.
Yeah, it goes a lot deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So just like we were talking about being able to, you know, pass on things, then we shifted to having multiple streams of income because we don't want to just set up for a time far off from now when, you know, we may be able to pass something along. We also want to be building right now in this moment because now is a time like none other in history. Well, we've probably had times like this before, but if you've noticed, there are so many people who have, you know, side gigs.
Yes.
Or side jobs,
Yes.
or, you know, that are building businesses.
Yeah.
And this is the time. There's so much support in the marketplace for small businesses,
Yes.
up and coming businesses,
Yes.
where people are supporting their friends, supporting their family in a way that I haven't seen in my generation.
Exactly.
And so what we offer is another opportunity to make streams
Yeah,
of income.
definitely.
The thing that I really loved about what we do is that you know, originally, just to give a little background on myself, I had been a teacher for over a decade, and I got involved with this business opportunity, and I didn't really know that it was going to be as big as it was. I had no idea. But I knew that I needed to get my credit restored because I wanted to be able to sign for things myself. I wanted to boss up. I wanted to be able to do anything that my heart desired. And I had a lot of hopes and dreams. And so when I signed up for the services. But then after I got signed up and my credit score went up over 100 points, I was like,
Yes,
hot
that's
dog,
what's up.
wait a minute. Oh my gosh. I started telling everybody I knew.
Yes.
I was like, girl.
I know, and I was in the program. I, too, got involved, got in the program, and literally, I'm in the 700 club.
Yeah.
Meaning your score can't
Welcome
go up
to
to
the
a
700.
850. You just got to get in the club, not the club, program, and get started.
Yeah.
And it does work. I guarantee you. Another thing, right, personally, I was able to put in for a loan. Had not put in for a loan for over 7 years. I'm telling you, I was shocked.
You know, and you know what the trickle effect of that was is that when I started telling everybody,
Yes.
I didn't realize that everybody I knew needed the same thing that I did. I
Oh
thought it
my
was just
God.
me
Yes.
in a bad situation.
Right.
But I didn't realize everybody needed it.
Everybody
And then,
needed
so,
it.
As I was telling people about it and the success that I had, they were like, they asked, well, how did you do that? How can I do that?
Right.
And so when people started enrolling in the program, I started making a significant amount of money.
Hello,
and
cha-ching.
And so I had to, decide, like, what am I really going to do? Am I going to, like, continue to teach? Am I going
Right.
to do this full time?
Right.
I just wasn't, I was like, this is helping in a very, very important way,
Yes.
because I was able to do things that I couldn't before.
Exactly.
And then the families I was helping through, education and the schooling system, this was another very real way to help them, So, we're just on here telling it all.
No, hey,
Okay,
that's what
so-
we're here for, to make sure people know what we have going on.
Yeah,
Right?
so yes, that is right.
Yes.
Okay, so but we do want to go ahead and take a quick break, so
break.
that we can
Come back and give you some additional
Give you some more
information
information.
about some other products and services.
So you guys take a look at this commercial.
Our new house is amazing. Great street, huge yard.
There is a bit of an issue with our neighbor's fencing. At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
Which helps us save even more.
Hey, Sarah. Hey, Peter.
Touche!
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
If you like this video, please share it.
And hit the subscribe button to watch more great Geico videos if you... Hey, guys, can you please watch the begonias? Just planted those.
Sorry.
Hi guys, and welcome
Hello,
back to Race to
welcome
Wealth
back.
on the Boss Up Houston Network. So, with all of that we talked about before the commercial break, on the show, we've talked about our business partner and the way that she was able to benefit in a huge way. And then for us, also how we've been able to benefit, and all the different ways that you can get yourself set up financially as far as these services go. Of course, there are a lot of other services that we didn't touch on for today. But with all that being said, it is a time to reflect.
Yes.
And just think about where we are financially. Of course, no one ever feels like they have arrived.
No.
Ever.
Exactly. No.
That is not the case, because even like Bill Gates and some of the other people are so fortunate to have structured their life in a way that they're consistently, like investing in assets that are going to bring them more financial freedom.
Right, and they have multiple streams of income.
They have multiple streams of income.
And
once you start accruing more and more assets, then it's automatic. You have to do even more to keep those
them
going.
Exactly.
To keep those going. You definitely want to
Exactly.
invest in yourself.
Right.
If there's anything to invest in, it is investing in yourself.
And some of the ways that you invest in yourself is reading different books on finances.
Oh yeah.
A lot of books.
Oh my gosh.
Definitely, I've read Kiyosaki, Rich Dad,
Poor Dad.
I think
Oh,
I said
that's
his
a
name
really
right.
good one. So that's on the suggestion list.
It's on the suggestion
Rich
list
Dad,
for
Poor
books
Dad.
to read. And Susie.
And then, I think that a great book for someone who's starting out to see exactly how is it that I want to structure my money consistently would be The Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh wow.
So yeah, and you've read that one. I know we were talking about that. The Richest Man in Babylon is a book about this guy. He wants to be in a better place financially, But he's just not sure of how to get there. And along the way, he realizes how he can divide his money up.
Right.
Each time you want to divide your money up and send your troops out. You know, sometimes me and some of my partners talk about dividing your troops up because your money is a tool. It's something that you use to send out into the world, and it has a job to do. So you don't want to just go throwing your troops away.
Right.
You want your troops to go out, you know, and recruit for you and bring even more troops back to you, you know, so that
Exactly.
your army can grow, so that your financial army can grow.
And show them how to do the same thing.
Okay, so you know the book you were talking about, Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Yeah, that story.
Yeah, I mean, what's the book? Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Right. That's
Yeah,
the
that
one I
is
said.
okay. That is.
Uh-huh.
I really liked how he compared
His father.
his fathers.
His
You know,
fathers,
he had a
yes.
biological father,
Right.
and then he had a stepfather. You
Right.
know,
Well, it was a friend's father.
oh, a friend's father,
friend's
and then
father,
a friend's father.
Yeah, and he said his father wanted him to work.
Yes.
And right, versus, and he used to say, well, how do I become rich? You know, when he was young, and he said, well, my friend's father is rich. He said, well, go ask your friend's father. Yeah.
But then when he went to go and ask his friend's father, his other dad wasn't really seeing like how that was gonna work. He
Right.
said you need to go to school, get a great education,
Exactly.
get a good job,
Yes, he did.
and that's it. And spend your money responsibly on things like getting a house, getting, you know, all the things that, you know, say that you have status.
Yes.
But then the rich dad, he was into investing your money.
Yes,
you
like
know?
real estate.
Real estate and
Yeah.
investing in assets, you know, and he was
Assets,
saying
yes.
that if you have a house, that a house isn't necessarily an asset if you're not going to do anything with it. You know, if you have a house, and maybe like in this day and time, the way that the real estate market is going,
Oh my God.
it's crazy,
It
right?
is. It is.
So, but if you had a house during this time and you were thinking to make your house, open it for like an Airbnb where you would be able to open it up as a studio or something like that, and you can have your whole mortgage paid, and you can pay for some other assets, and then that would be a great way to use, you know, your house as an asset.
And
you
be
know.
able to save some money.
And be able to save. Yeah. So it was interesting how they talked about the two different points of view. And if you read this book at different points in your life, you know, you can better relate with one. And then once you get into business and start doing some of the business practices and
Yes.
building yourself up in different ways, then you start to better relate to the other one. And the mindset starts to change when people
Yes, it
go into
does.
business.
It really does.
For
It
themselves.
really does.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother subject right there, going
Yeah.
into business for yourself, because it takes you away from working, being in the workforce,
Right.
working for someone else. It's completely different. But one of the takes that I've learned in working for myself is the fact that you'll go out every day of your life and you'll work for someone else. And they'll never, yes, you may grow, yes, you get promoted and things like that. But at the end of the day, do they give you a blueprint for when you decide to retire, where you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars like they're making?
Yes.
Like they're making. No,
Are people showing that?
no.
But people who get into business,
For people to get into business, start
they're
to learn.
navigating through.
Exactly.
They're navigating through how that goes and how they
Exactly.
can build themselves up and how they can build their wealth and how
Right.
they can network and have the right connections to put them in a good position. How they can have the right assets to put them in the right position. How they can
Exactly.
understand their finances better. Because even if you
Exactly.
say, you know, I would like to get my finances in order, but I'm going to hire someone who can handle all of my finances. Well, if you don't know and you have no clue about what they're doing,
Right.
then are you really putting yourself in the best position? So that's one of the things I really love about our program, is that you are involved in the process. So as you grow, as your soul prospers,
Yes.
you prosper as well, because little by little you're finding out about what finances are all about.
I love it. Yes.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
It's a beautiful
Yes.
thing
Yes.
to know the language of finance.
Yes.
And on that note, we do want to take a quick commercial break. It's been so great talking with you guys. And listen, we are open, so feel free to leave a comment in the chat. Here at Boss of Houston, Race to Wealth, we are open. We want to know what, something that stood out to you. We want to know something that stood out to you as you were watching. If you have any questions, or if you'd like to contact us, please leave a comment below, and we would love to connect with you guys. So, on that note, let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll see you soon.
Stay up. Boss Up Houston, where we hook up, stay up.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back to Race to Wealth. So we want to give you today a subject on tough love. We want to talk to you about tough love because we know about some tough love situations that we've had in our life.
Yeah, we've all been through situations, and sometimes it's good to have that, to have someone to tell you something that maybe you haven't heard before, or maybe if it comes from someone else, that you'll take it in and receive it. And when we say tough love, we don't mean like harsh.
Exactly.
We
like
mean,
getting on you.
We mean here's the meat of it. Here's
Exactly.
one of the takeaways that we would hope that you guys would take away from it. But so the tough love is advice for the day
is to get your finances in order. And we're saying that, or I'm saying that as well. We're doing it together and individually. But when you think about it, it is tough, y'all. We know it's hard. And that's why, we wanted to challenge everybody and come out and talk to everybody that we feel that are listening. Even if you know about finances, if you're in that financial arena, we know that you know what we're talking about. Not just that, but personally, when you've gone through hardships in your life and it's a financial battle or hardship, again, this is the tough love advice. And we can give that because we've been in those situations, and we've put our foot forward, we've sacrificed, and we're still fighting to make a better financial investment in our lives.
Yeah.
And so this is a big part of it, the information that we have been sharing with you thus so far.
Yeah, and so the tough love advice is to get your mental thinking ready for what is happening now and what happens in the future, because you might not always have time to get it all together. And we all know that finances can be a web of things and a web of events. So that, the tough love advice is to get it together. Just do it. Do it now. Get your finances together. We are definitely here to support you as we're supporting ourselves and our family.
Yes.
Just get it together, because you might not always have time. Like our business partner had some time to really look around and research and get things together, but who knows how much time we have. And so
That's
just
right,
a
nobody
tough love
knows.
advice is just to get your finances in order. You don't know how much time you have to do it.
And I also want to add one note, Vanessa. Another thing, that's why we're doing what we're doing. So again, she's going to give you some information if you need to get in touch with us. We would love to work with you, definitely support you and work with you, however long it takes. We have information.
Awesome. And to be a guest on the show, because we're looking for realtors and people who are in this arena who would also like to come in and talk about their profession and what they do and how finances impact their industry. So if you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you'd like more information, you can contact us at racetowealth.org or
What did you say? Or
racetowealth.net. Yeah. And so so you can also contact us on the Boss Up Houston Network. And as always, if you would like to be on the Boss Up Houston Network, you could also reach out at bossuphoustonnetwork.com for more information. So remember to tune in.
Remember to tune in to Race to Wealth.
Every Sunday.
At
2 p.m.
At 2 p.m.
This has been another episode of Race to Wealth, where we focus on your financial health. And we'll
love you guys.
See you guys.
See you later.
Later.